We're at that point in our history where men and women of goodwill must coalesce, must work together, must congregate at that parlor where everything that divides is stormed down, where everything that weakens is stormed down, where everything that puts our energy and strength to the air is turned down. We must understand that the events of the last 2 years are very instructive about the power of the people. And I hope you understand where I'm going, because I'll try to be very brief. Number one, not very strong, but by God's grace, my late dad would say that the day I was born, perhaps I started talking the very, very moment I breathed air. But that is not essentially what I'm about to say, but I want to challenge everyone here. I remember when Big Tent was born. It was born as a child of circumstance. It was born to give strength and buffer to the presidential campaign organization of our leader, Peter Gregory Obi. It came to fix the loose ends and give style, synergy, and panache to what we had as a national campaign. And the fear of that national campaign remains in the public space. That's why what I want you to realize and remember is, without equivocation, the fact that the power of the people, take note, the power of the people is stronger and mightier than the people in power. That is what we proved in 2023. That was what the Nigerian space saw in the build-up to the last election. There was a monstrous movement of young, old, women, and teenagers. They rose up to say that the time to take back their country for good is now. Interestingly, it resonated in the fact that we aggregated without doubt in saying that with Peter Gregory Obi, the Obedient Movement, the Big Tent, the Labour Party, that a new Nigeria is possible. Indeed, without doubts, a new Nigeria is possible. I just told my brother, Yunusa Tanko, here a few minutes ago, that as we gather here, the power of the people is at work in the state superintended over by Fubara. Some people who assume that they have control over the instrumentality of state, who assume that they can overawe a whole state, who assume that the state belongs to them, who assume that they can do whatever they want with the state, who assume that the collective will of the people of a state belongs to them, and so they can superintend the state from Abuja, who assume that the people must be subservient to them, and who assume that they are the godfather of a particular state, having shown the color of the things to come. There are events ahead of us, events that are very instructive, events that goes to the heart and the soul of our nation, events that we cannot overlook. We have seen them in the last election. We have seen them in the instrumentality of the APC to throw upon our space what you call state capture. But you know, there's something very interesting about this country. Tanko, our comrades, so many people know that. Nigeria is one country that's become extremely impossible in its historicity for anybody to conquer. Extremely impossible. I'll give you quick instances. There was a Jack Gowon who came out after the war. Nigeria was rich. He boasted that our problem wasn't money, that our problem was how to spend it. Went ahead to bail out Trinidad and Tobago. Went around spending money. And then when he tinkered with the transition to democratic rule, he was in Addis Ababa when he was taken out. Are you aware that in this same country, when certain individuals thought in the Second Republic that they had conquered Nigeria, voices came out on the 31st of December 1993, and that was the end of them. Are you also aware that a certain man who was gap-toothed, who called himself the Maradona, when he thought that he could run roughshod over our country, and then tinkered and played with the transition to democratic rule, and then annulled the June 12th election, when the Nigerian people rose up by way of bad grammar, by way of bad English, he addressed Nigerians and stepped aside. Are you also aware that someone came to power after sacking the interim government, and because of the people's power, he couldn't travel overseas to take care of himself, and somehow Mother Providence took him out, and he couldn't transmute from military to civilian president? Are you also aware that in this same country, when someone could tinker with the process, he said, no, I have seen enough of the people's power. And Absalom Abubakar stayed for less than a full year and handed over to democratic rule. The stories are complete and replete of a people's strength. Even against their nuances, in 1994, the late Chief Gani Fahimi, along with so many of us, started a party against the nuances of the military. It was called National Conscience Party in 1994. Nigerians are strong people. So if anybody tells you that we can be conquered, tell them it's a lie. Tell them very vehemently that the people are under a strong tent, a tent of resolve, a tent of commitment to destiny and purpose, a tent of ruggedness, a tent of purpose. Tell them that this country is not anybody's tea party. We're not excited young men, excited men or women. We're empirical minds who understand the reality and the urgency of now. Look around. They've been trying to play the game to give us impression or to test the waters. They have tested it with the labor organizations. It's a boomerang. They have tested it with the young boys and young girls in NSAS. It was a boomerang. They have tested it with the resolve of our young people in the End Bad Governance protestation. It's still a boomerang. They can't stop the people. Now, what are they trying to do? Use the instrumentality of state, the police and the INEC, to subvert the democratic and electoral process. But can they win? If you know your history very well, you know that they can't win. And I said to myself, it was Fidel Castro. As a young boy, I was privileged to have met him in Havana, Cuba. He said to me, and a lot of young people from across the world who believe in revolutionary processes, that when you have a determination to write history, even that determination serves as strength to your bones and your sinews. Even that determination will keep you going. And then he went further. For when men have a single determination to succeed, not even the sight of the prison yard, not the walls of the cemetery can deter them from it. For a single destiny, a single determination, a single commitment, a single conscience will sustain them. I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, that everyone here has a role to play in the emergent Nigeria. I managed to engage with someone online this morning, and I said, it may look plausible. Some people make fantastic arguments about the possibility of a state capture. It may look like, oh, they will do the same thing they did in Edo in some other states. The story might just look very bleak. It might look like we have a soulless horde of rampaging buccaneers on our socio-political amphitheater. It may just look like they are overlords. But you know what? For every reactionary, for every despot, for every dictator, the moment of weakness is that moment when he thinks that he has conquered the people. The moment of weakness is when he thinks he can run roughshod over the people. The moment of weakness for those who hold us down is now. Now, when across the state of the Federation, young people are saying, we don't trust you anymore. Young people are saying, we will resist you. Young people are saying, there's nothing you can tell us, stop gaslighting us. Young people are subjecting presidential speeches to fact checks. Young people are debating and discussing, and even before they finish, young people are putting it out in the social media and saying, Mr. President, you lied. That's where we are. And you must be proud of yourself and proud of this generation of young people. You must be proud of the philosophy of a big tent, which is that a new Nigeria is possible. You must also be proud of the philosophy, the energy and the commitment of the obedient movement, which is that a new Nigeria is also possible. And you must committedly galvanize, work together, march together, hold hands together, unite in the resolve for a new Nigeria, and tell anybody who tells you that in 2027 they will do the same thing they did in 2023, that nothing can be farther away from the truth. I tell you something, my brothers and sisters, as I wind down. It was my mentor, Martin Luther King Jr., who said, and he said that long ago, that when you look around you, and instead of seeing people say, let's be patient, people say, we are tired. Know that that republic that holds down the people is on its way out. Know that those who subdue and subjugate the people are on their way out. Know that freedom and liberty is just at the doorstep. Know that nothing can hold down a people whose resolve is for a new day, a new republic, a new tendency, and a new era.